everybody out there. What's going on? Welcome to Screen Speak, the podcast that's all about movies, life, and so much more. I'm Jordan Anderson. This is my podcast, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come by and give it a listen. So, welcome. So I got another guest. Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe, but I did rope somebody else into the craziness that is this podcast. So, with me is old friend, old colleague, or old sport, whatever. I don't think people say that anymore, but it is Mr. James Bolender.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
James, I am happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
How do we know each other?
We worked together 11 years ago for about 2 years.
That is a long time.
It is.
Yeah. We won't say where. Yeah, we're not doing that. But we used to work together. We'll leave it at that.
Yes. I was his boss, by the way.
You were.
I was.
I did what you told me to do.
You did. Sometimes not very well, but you did it.
Tell me one of the things I didn't do well. I'd like to learn.
Everything. You were just very bad at your job. But yet we kept you around because, well, you were awkward.
Yeah.
And we felt sorry for you. And we pitied you, and we wanted to help you grow as a man, and look what you have become. So we did our jobs.
Am I a man?
That's debatable, but you've come a long ways.
Well, I will take that for high praise coming from you. Thank you. No, but really, sincerely, James, I'm not just saying this because we're on the air, as you know, it's like a radio show, but I do appreciate you being here.
And I appreciate you asking me. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it like just in all sincerity. I think James has known about my, we'll call it the creative side of myself, just kind of my passions for movies and expressing myself in whatever medium I could find. And I think we were talking before I hit record on this, but I would dink around with stuff. That's probably the best way I could say. But it never was taken all that seriously, if I'm being for real. And I think he knew that. But James was very cool. He was telling me, this is like super you, and you should do this and keep doing it. So I'll not do a man cry, but your support is so valuable to me. Thank you.
I don't know what to say about that. I forgot my dogs need to go to the vet. I will be exiting now. No, I'm joking.
Cool. I can imitate your voice and just edit around, right?
Okay. Perfect.
Hang on, I'll do a James imitation. Say something. I'll do it.
What do you want me to say?
What do you want me to say?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I like the Broncos and like.
All right, let's not bring sports into this.
Hey, sports are cool.
They are.
John Denver, is that a guy?
That was a singer.
Oh yeah, he did the country road, right? The take me home. No, John Elway.
Yes.
Yeah. Great player.
Yeah.
Great guy.
What position did he play?
QB.
Oh.
QB
that?
Stands for quarterback.
Oh.
Yeah, would you look at that?
He has a little sports knowledge.
Okay, well, unfortunately, this is not a sports podcast, and if it was, I don't think it would last long because my knowledge is piss poor.
Don't give yourself that much credit.
That's true. What would you say?
What's less than piss poor? Non-existent.
Pond scum?
My 3-year-old daughter probably knows more.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah.
I buy into it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about movies.
Okay, let's do it. What movie are we talking about?
Okay, so we're actually going to be talking about The Suicide Squad. Came out in what we think is August of 2021, which kind of, we wanted to touch on this at some point, talking about like how this movie's release was just affected by the pandemic and the streaming and all that stuff, which we'll get to that in a second. But let me first just say a bit about what the movie is in case somebody actually is unaware of it. So, The Suicide Squad, the plot is that it follows supervillains Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, Peacemaker, douchey Captain America, played by John Cena, and a collection of nutty cons at the Belle Reve. I don't even know why they say the prison name. Do they even acknowledge that?
I don't think so, but
whatever.
Yeah.
They join a super secret, super shady Task Force X. I think I'm saying that right. And they get dropped off at some remote enemy-infused island to deal with the giant starfish. It's not saying that in the synopsis, but it should. But it's a big ensemble, a lot of big personalities in the movie. It's got Idris Elba, Margot Robbie. I said John Cena. There's Peter Capaldi. I think he's the guy that's the big thinker guy. Joel Kinnaman. He's Ric Flair. I think is that the guy? You know who I'm talking. Not Ric Flair. Ric Flair's a wrestler guy.
Yeah.
Rick Flag.
Rick Flag. Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's similar.
I got you.
There's the Polka Dot Man guy that played by David because I can never pronounce his last name. And Viola Davis, I think, reprises her role from the original as well. Yes. So, real quick, before we just talk about all the things that we want to dive into for the movie, I do want to just get the inevitable comparison out of the way with is it better or is it not better than the 2016 version? The one that had Will Smith and some of the other people. I mean, because there are people from that movie that carried over into this one, including Captain Boomerang, who's not in it for very long. Spoiler alert, he gets killed. It is called the Suicide Squad for a reason. But let's talk about that. James, what did you think about the 2016 version and just your comparison with how it is now?
To be honest, I actually, if I was going to go back and watch one a second time, I would probably take the 2016 version.
Why?
I don't really care for the new one's costumes. That just drives me up the wall. Like Peacemaker, that helmet of his is just cheesy as all cheesy can be. The polka dot guy, albeit a good concept. I like his superpower. The costume is ridiculous. What's the javelin guy's name?
Oh, yeah.
That dies at the beginning?
Yeah, he's not in it very long.
No, but that was just horrible. And it really... Now, Bloodsport, I loved his costume.
Yeah, I liked his helmet.
Yeah, I loved his helmet. I loved Harley Quinn's outfit. I loved the shark. But just the cheesy outfits just threw me off.
Well, I think, it's been a minute since I've seen the 2016 version, but David Ayer, he wrote Training Day, he directed End of Watch. He's known for being a very, gritty, authentic director with a lot of his stuff. He deals with a lot of, like crime and things like that. And so... there is obviously a definite distinction between the two directors' visions. I think James Gunn is certainly more in focus on the writing side of it with very funny, over the top sensibilities to it. Whereas the 2016 version, it's still a superhero movie at its core, but you felt a bit more realism.
Yeah.
I mean, minus the third act when it gets to basically the Ghostbusters ending where they're fighting the big beam in the sky or whatever, but.
And I also thought the runtime. The new Suicide Squad was 2 hours and 15 minutes-ish?
Yeah, I think so.
Which is pretty substantial for that style of movie.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a lot of dead time filler in there. And where the original one was, an hour and a half, hour 40, and it was pretty much just guns a-blazing the whole time.
Yeah, pretty quick pace.
Yeah. So... if I had to choose which one I was going to watch a second time, I would probably choose the first one, even though the story was crap. But I did really enjoy the Deadpool-esque of the second one, as far as the blood and guts and everything goes.
Well, even the jokes, if you want to call it that, certainly more kind of in that Deadpool vein, because it's very... I think the movie... The Suicide Squad is certainly more self-aware of a movie, I think, than the 2016 one is.
Yes.
For better or worse, I have my thoughts on that. I guess if I'm comparing the two myself, I think just as an overall film, I may not like all the, some personal aspects that I have to it, because I don't know, like Deadpool and things like that, that humor can kind of get old for me quick. And so... those aspects of it, I'm not always super into it, but I think as a film, it's a bit better structured than the 2016 one. Though with the 2016 one, it's not all bad. I like Will Smith. It's kind of a bummer that he wasn't able to come back for this one. I actually thought Idris Elba was replacing him for a moment because I don't know. I thought it was a recast, but no, he is a different character because he is a different character, right?
Yeah. No, it's Bloodsport.
So he's Bloodsport in the...
Will Smith was Bloodsport in the
Okay, so it is a recast then.
Yeah.
Just a blatant recast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, what did you think about Harley Quinn? Both movies.
Both, I mean...
Which one did you like her better in? Because there was a difference in how she acted and
Yeah.
her script and role and all that.
She's, I'm thinking, I mean, because, like, she felt more menacing in the 2016 one to me, or at least I felt like more like this person's a villain, whereas, like, in the new one, I mean, it's fresh on my mind, she's, I don't know, like, almost lighter in a way. Like, I felt like she was a little darker.
Well, I feel the first one, she had more free reign. She was more centered in the movie.
Yeah.
I thought her comedy in the first one was far superior than her comedy in the second one.
Yeah.
It felt like the second one, she was more of a side character and kind of pushed down the totem pole. So I don't know. Didn't really care for her as much in the second one as the first one. I thought the first one she shined, though.
Well, as far as the cast then goes, do you have... I mean, there's a lot of people in this movie, but who, if you had to pick a favorite, who's like, I like this person the best?
I thought Ezra did a really good job. I liked it. I liked Bloodsport.
Idris Elba?
Yeah, I can never pronounce his name, so I just...
Yeah. Idris Elba.
Okay. Him, I thought was phenomenal. I really enjoyed his Bloodsport portrayal. I thought the outfit of Bloodsport was amazing.
Yep.
John Cena was good if you just take off that stupid helmet. That helmet just completely ruined him for me.
Did you see that he's getting his own series?
Yes.
I had no idea about that.
Yes.
It's like an 8-episode series,
Yes.
HBO.
Yes. It was announced literally like 2-3 days after the movie came out.
I'm picking up from sitting across from you that those yeses are not like woohoo.
Like I said, I liked his character. I liked his comedy. I liked his acting. That helmet, though, just...
It looks like a toilet bowl.
It's just stupid. It just ruins it for me. I'm big into costumes.
Yeah.
I have to be... They have to be believable for me, and that just looks like a cheap, low-budget...
Well, hang on, let me ask about that, because I think I want you to expand on the costume thing more. Because... Obviously, it's a superhero movie, so costumes are, if anything, going to be more emphasized in movies like that because they're heroes, it's part of their persona, etc. But I'm curious, even outside of superhero movies, like, is your thoughts on costumes, like, does it apply only to a superhero movie because you have to have some believability to it, or even in, like, a movie that's, like, I don't know, like, say it's based on a true story, are you still focused to costumes on that?
No, I mean, for superhero movies, they just have to keep me involved. If something, I mean, you look at are we allowed to say Marvel universe?
I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
You look at Marvel and name me one bad superhero. All their outfits, all their costumes are well made, well designed. But you look at DC and it's like, that's kind of why DC movies suck in my opinion. I mean, seriously, what do you think about John Cena's... What do you think about Peacemaker? Did you like his outfit? Did you like that helmet?
I mean, he looked ridiculous.
It was stupid. What's the point?
I mean...
Name me one Marvel character that has a stupid outfit like that.
The only one I could think of, and, like, honestly, like, I have a bit of nostalgic goggles on for this, I admit. But, like, Green Goblin in the first Spider-Man, he looks a bit silly. Like, it looks like he's wearing a big, like, freaking cone on his head. And but like I also I'm nostalgic and like Willem Dafoe's amazing as Green Goblin, so I don't care, and I bought into the world that movie built, so the costume never bothered me. But if I'm going to pick one, I guess that one.
Okay, that wasn't the greatest costume, but it didn't completely throw me out of the movie.
Right.
I mean, like when I'm watching it, I want to be like the polka dot guy.
Yeah, the polka dot guy. Yeah.
Why? It was a cool concept. I liked when he shot the things, and I liked everything about it. But why does it have to be polka dots? Why does it? I mean,
I don't know the history of the polka dot man.
Neither do I.
I did actually do a bit of research before this, though, because I was just genuinely curious. I think if I saw right, the Suicide Squad as a comic actually the first mention of it was like in like 1958, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I mean, someone can fact check me on this, but that's what my quick little Google search showed me.
The Suicide Squad goes back that far.
Well, guess what? I have a computer in front of me. Let's reconfirm this, and James, while I'm looking this up, you can, I don't know, say something or make it weird.
Okay, I will make it weird then. Wow, put me on the spot like this. No, God, I'm trying to watch you and think at the same time. Help me out here. I'm dying.
Okay. Let's see. Suicide Squad. Wait, let's just put...
No, what are your thoughts on the costumes, though? I mean, are you okay with anything, or do you like a little bit more big budget, more fitting? I mean, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's just... They looked cheesy. They looked low budget. They looked out of place, to be honest.
Okay. First, real quick to the costume thing, and then I'll read what's on the screen there.
Mm-hmm.
Costumes, I totally hear what you're saying, because like if it's a very strong aesthetic choice and like it's just very noticeable, I think it really depends on the direction, I think, of the movie or the tone that the movie's establishing, because depending on the tone, it could help or hurt it. I would say in the case of the Suicide Squad, there's probably some people that very much like what it's trying to do or like that it didn't look good. But I would probably more lean towards you that, like, even if the guy's supposed to be like an obnoxious moron or whatever, I don't even know if he'd want to go around looking like that. But
do you think
it didn't bother me. I would say it didn't bother me.
They tried to make it look bad? I mean, do you think that was the direction? Because you look at Bloodsport. Right. You look at his costume. It was amazing. Harley Quinn looked fine. I mean, she looked good.
Right.
But then you have Peacemaker. I mean, I keep rehashing.
And the polka dot guy.
The polka dot guy, the javelin guy. All these ones that were just cheesy.
Hey, at the very least, King Shark just wears shorts. Thankfully, there's not much of a costume.
King Shark.
He's a shark.
King Shark was cool. I liked him.
Real quick, so the I'm reading this online now. Who knows if it's accurate? It's from Wikipedia. The first version of the Suicide Squad debuted. Well, probably. It debuted in The Brave and the Bold, issue number 25, in September of 1959, according to this. I don't know if that's true, but
then the second and modern version was created in January of 1987.
It says debuted in Legends number 3, and yeah, and that seems like a long gap. I mean, I'm sure somebody could probably do a lot more history on this, but this one also says it started in 1959, and it gets cited a couple times. So,
well, I didn't think Suicide Squad reached that far back.
Honestly, like, if I'm thinking about comic books, there's so much history with them, and there are people that are absolute gurus. Yes. Like, they know their shit, and
I am not one of them.
I'm not either. Like, I enjoy some of the movies, and even as a kid, like, I always find it interesting, actually, like, as a kid, like, the people that are like, oh, yeah, like, I collected comics, and, like, I read them, and, I mean, I admit, I think I read an issue of Spider-Man, X-Men, some of the big ones as a kid, but I never, like, got religiously into it and followed, like, the arcs and who the artwork, who the illustrators were, and, all that.
Neither did I. There was one comic I followed when I was a kid that I really wish they would make into a movie, like a really good, do-it-right movie.
Which is?
Swamp Thing.
And well, they have a show for that, right?
They got canceled after midway through the first season.
I heard it was good.
I heard everybody said it was phenomenal.
I haven't seen it, but
yeah, they canceled it like 8 episodes into season 1.
What about Swamp Thing do you enjoy?
I just like his mystique. I think it'd be filmed in just think it's swamp. That'd be a cool atmosphere. That'd be a cool design.
Sure.
He's just a mysterious figure that you don't really see that much, and you could either do him the good way or the bad way. You got a lot of flexibility in which route you want to go. I mean, I don't remember a lot because that was 30 some years ago when I was reading it. 35 years ago.
Well, because you're like 90, right?
Yes, I am.
You're an old man, old
no,
hermit.
Actually, I will be turning 80 in November. Thank you very much.
That's cool. You're still walking and getting around.
I am. I'm still working too.
To quote Dumb and Dumber, it's like, senior people, while dangerous and ineffective behind the wheel, can still serve a purpose. I'm misquoting, but you know the scene I'm talking about. I'm just kidding. You're not that old.
No, I'm not that old. But it was still quite a while ago. It was back in the early 80s when I was reading Swamp Thing.
That's
so
cool.
I don't remember a lot about it. I've always been fascinated by him, though. I've always wished that he's one of the superheroes that they would, or I guess he'd be a villain.
Yeah,
they would turn into a big...
Is he an anti-hero?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say anti-hero would be a good description of him.
We're going to touch back on that, but want to keep it rolling. I do want to talk about James Gunn. Actually, no, sorry. Before James Gunn, there is one cast member, because he stands out. I got to talk about King Shark. I got to talk about King. Well, he did the voice.
He did.
I would actually really be curious to see a behind the scenes for whatever motion capture or anything, because I don't think like he did performance capture with it, but I think they just use his voice. But I'm just curious. They must have had someone on site to probably be in like a green or blue suit and be the shark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think like that would be so interesting. But I mean, how do you not like a big jumbo shark that walks around and eats people? It's very cool.
I enjoyed his character. I thought his character was one of the better ones.
I actually was surprised in particular for one scene. It's early on in the movie, like when they're first on the island and he eats somebody that he's not supposed to. And the one rat girl or whatever, like, kind of tries to befriend him. But I actually like that because it wasn't like a... If I'm drawing any comparison to it, it'd be like, like a Groot thing, which is also from James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy, because it's like a simple creature. He can only say limited things. But King Shark can obviously say more than just Groot, I am Groot.
Yeah.
But I thought that moment was actually nice because, like, it showed, like, that, people perceive this big jumbo shark as a, just bloodthirsty monster. And I don't know. I like that kind of just, like, simple moment of, like, her being like, hey, like, this guy's not just a big dumb shark. He's just, he's maybe misunderstood a little bit. And I kind of like some of that.
It gave him a little bit of humanity. Yeah, no, I appreciated it.
Because otherwise, like, they could have just easily leaned into just, like, hey, Stallone in the recording booth, just do, like, you're a super slow Rocky. Right. And talk like, but I don't know, they gave it a little bit more character than I thought they would do.
Yeah, no,
for a freaking shark.
I totally agree.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite moment with King Shark?
God damn. No. I guess he doesn't really stick out that much to me. I mean, I do like him.
Yes.
I thought he did a good job, but as far as memorable moments, I mean, you spoiled the one that I could think of.
Right.
I know there was the one at the end where you thought he was dead and he ended up living when he got crushed by the building.
Yeah.
I don't know how that was possible, but apparently he's immortal.
He's a shark.
Yeah, but you got a power big building falling on top of you. I mean, I don't think a normal shark would survive that.
I did like the moment closer towards the third act when he has his like little moment of bliss where he's looking through the other little cute fishies in the aquarium and they're following him around. But then it's like, but then when they get out, they start trying to eat his ass.
I completely forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem with the movie being almost 2.5 hours long. You have all that dead space that your brain just goes, duh, what's going on? And you just, I don't know, I just zoned out.
I will say, outside of King Shark, because I just talking about the parts I did like about the movie, and we'll keep going, but I did actually like. I thought it was very clever writing when they're on the island and they kind of get to like this part where they see like all these people that because they're trying to rescue Rick Flag, and they're like, we got to infiltrate it, we got to do it, and like. Peacemaker and Bloodsport, they just go in and waste everybody.
Oh,
and it's very and they found that they're like, you just killed the people that were on our side. Yeah. I thought that was pretty smart.
That was a good twist. I did not see that coming. That was a different take on it.
I thought that was funny because it's like you've seen that in movies play out before where like there's like super spies or it's like a Predator thing, right. Like Butch and all those people, they go in and they're gonna shoot up the militia and save the day, and it's like, no, you just totally killed people that were gonna help you.
Mm-hmm. No, that was actually a very well
clever,
very well done scene.
Now I want to talk about just kind of more in depth on the movie a little bit. The movie is a hard R, you know. It's. I guess I mean, well, Is it a hard R? Would you consider
Yes.
it? Because it's pretty bloody.
Oh,
I mean, it's got violence.
Deadpool bloody.
Yes. And I'm just curious what you think about, how much, I'm trying to think, how do I say this? Just action without limits, I guess. Does a movie like this need to be R-rated? Or could it have gotten away with being PG-13? Or what do you think about that?
I'm a big fan of Deadpool. I like the hard R. I like the over-the-top blood and guts.
Yeah.
So that's the one area that I thought this movie was better than the original Suicide Squad. Because what the original was that an R or was that a PG?
I think it was PG-13.
Okay.
I don't think it. I'll double check.
Maybe it was R because of language, but it wasn't R because of violence and blood. So in this kind of movie, I thought it was appropriate. I appreciated the over-the-top blood and guts like that.
I'm looking up the rating right now just to confirm. Well, I just found the Rotten Tomatoes. It's not kind.
3.8 out of 5 ain't bad.
Well, there's where is it? Where are you seeing that at? Right here, the audience rating. That's just like a Google thing.
That's not bad.
I guess it is R-rated.
For strong violence and gore.
Hang on. This is...
No,
it's citing James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, for God's sakes.
Okay.
It says PG-13 now right here for this. Okay. It's PG-13. It says it right here. Yeah.
For a superhero... I mean... I guess it depends on what superhero movie you're going for. If you were watching something like Ant-Man, who's a more peaceful superhero, PG-13's fine. You don't need it. But when you're watching something like Suicide Squad, Deadpool, something that's a little bit more, you gotta have it. You have to.
Yeah.
How do you make the Suicide Squad a PG version?
I think it all honestly boils down to story for me, because if the story and just the world merits it, then it makes sense. Like I'll be very clear about this. I am not someone that ever gets like turned off by quote unquote like gratuitous violence or over the top. Like, I don't care. I don't really get offended like that. There's some people that they may get turned off if they see too much blood or gore, things like that. If it serves the story, because that's ultimately what it falls back on to me. Like, if it serves the story and makes it better and it's going to enhance the audience's experience and it fits for what the story's trying to do, then go crazy. I don't care. Like, chop off limbs, chop off heads. Like, do anything and everything that you want to. I do think for Suicide Squad, even the 2016 one, if you're dealing with a movie that is primarily focused on people that are quote-unquote villains or loosely anti-heroes, these are not people that are good. Therefore, I don't think you should wet blanket it or give it, a tamer treatment. Like, if you're going to deal with a movie about, like, hard, bad people, I need to see them do some hard crap.
Yes.
Like,
and anytime I see a movie like that drop down to like a PG or PG-13 rating, to me that signals they are going for the money. They're going for the wider audience, and they're dumbing it down for the kids. And it's like, we adults deserve better.
Well, no, but you bring up a really good point with that, because if you think about the subject of ratings in movies, I do think, and I don't know if it's broadly spoken about, but I think most of the time, I think you're right.
No, look at the horror franchise.
Yeah.
Look at all the ones that have dropped down to PG-13 because kids under 17 can't get into R-rated movies.
Yeah.
So they learn that's a huge demographic.
Yeah.
So they can make millions more, but yet true horror enthusiasts are like, okay, we hardly see any theatrical releases. Everything's straight to video, straight to Netflix. And you got all these really good premises that are like PG-13. I don't want to watch it. You can't make a good horror movie PG-13.
Yeah.
Very seldom. There are a couple exceptions.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
I would agree with you on that, though. If we're talking about horror movies, I would absolutely agree that R-rated, likely speaking, is going to be a better movie.
Exactly.
I would say...
And Suicide Squad's no different, though.
No.
Tell me how you make Suicide Squad PG.
You don't. I mean, you don't. But the point I'm saying with you, though, bringing that up, is that I think you're absolutely right that it's the money. I mean, most of the time, I mean, I'm sure there's somebody that's probably like on like the MPAA, I think I'm saying that right, the movie ratings board, that would be like, this could potentially harm a youth. They could see Bloodsport shoot someone and they're going to be scarred. I don't know why I'm talking like this, but like this is how I see a pretentious person that can't handle blood in movies. And I don't think it's mostly done for moral reasons, like you said. I think you are right in that people are like, if we do PG-13, oh, we could probably get like 20% more profit because we can open up the theaters. Like we can get like this many more butts in the seats.
Oh, that's completely, totally what it is.
I'm not saying
I don't think there's any doubt about that.
And I'm not saying it's wrong always either, because I mean I get it. At the end of the day, business is business, and even Hollywood's a business. You know, there's profit that has to be made. But I will say, and I can tell, I think you're probably thinking along the same lines. To hell with that. You need to service the story.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't care. Like, if it's going to make more money, like, whatever. And it's like, if it's going to serve the story, then you should do it properly. And if people are smart enough, which I always like to give actually audience members more credit than I think some filmmakers do. I like to trust in the audience. They're going to pick up that you're not trying to water something down. Like, you're just trying to make it authentic to what the premise of the story is, and you're trying to serve the story.
And I think, not to change this, or I guess this ain't change the subject, but I think A Quiet Place has shown you can make an R-rated movie very well and draw in a lot of money.
Are those R-rated?
Quiet Place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are?
I'm on, like, 95%.
I mean, I'm not like... Hang on. I own the first one. I'm going to grab it here. Hang on. I think you're right, but... No.
Is it PG?
Yeah, PG-13.
Okay, I guess I was going that backwards. That is one of the few exceptions to the PG-13. You can make it good and scary, and they did it right.
Well, I'll say about A Quiet Place, and then we'll get back on Suicide Squad, is... First off, A Quiet Place is just a really good movie. I mean, I'll put a plug in for that anytime I can.
It is only PG-13.
Well, I think the movie works for it, though, because so much of that movie, it's built on the sound design.
Right.
Like, that movie, if you took out, like, the element of, like, oh, the creatures can't, like, you know, they track you by sound, that movie doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
You know, like, that is the selling premise of the movie, because it's so unique, and you have to completely restructure how all the scenes play out, what characters do, blah, 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 blah. But, anywho, we're not here to talk about A Quiet Place, though. No. I should talk about that, though. It's a good movie.
The second one was actually pretty decent, too.
I watched it recently.
So did I.
Yeah, I didn't like it as much as the first one, but as a sequel, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, back to Suicide Squad.
Get A Quiet Place, Part 1 and 2. It's out on 4K now and streaming. I'm not being paid by anybody to say that.
Back to Suicide Squad.
Are you sure? Okay. I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't either.
Anyhow, I want to talk about the starfish.
Horrible.
He's bad.
Oh,
you're not a big fan of the one eyeball starfish.
It was stupid. It went hand in hand with the stupid costumes. It was just...
He's too much. Too over the top.
It was horrible. It was arguably one of the worst ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just bad.
I'll say a couple things about the starfish. One, I did think it was cool with the idea that like it like multiplies and like sticks itself on people's faces like a face hugger, and like it kind of can like zombie people. Like I thought, I'm like, okay, like that's okay. Okay, you hear me out.
Yeah, I'm listening.
I'm like, that's okay. That's neat. You know, they don't really do much though. I mean, like even when they have the starfish on their face, they just kind of seem to stand there. They're not really a threat. I mean, maybe they charge a person, but they don't seem like they're going to really kill you. They have a starfish on their face. They can't do much. They can't even see.
Exactly.
But I thought that was okay. But I think in my head anyway, I'm like, okay, like this big starfish, like even when it gets out from like its underground base and it's like stomping around the city like Godzilla. I don't know. I kind of was like, I think I turned into that person that's like the realist person watching a superhero movie, where I thought like kind of more logistic or realistically speaking, I was like, okay, in the real world, if there was a huge massive starfish that was captured and like the government's trying to, you know, study it and whatever, like to what end? Like what is the purpose? because I guess like that was kind of one of the things I'm like, it's neat for like a visual, but I didn't really see like why. I didn't really get the why. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like why this like why? Why the hell is this thing here?
I would like to know who was sitting when they were doing their little roundtable discussions talking about the beginning pre-development of the movie. Who thought of a starfish as the main villain? Everybody's sitting around, okay, what do we want our main villain for? Who raised their hand and said starfish? And everybody else is like, that's genius. That's so... Really? I don't know. I thought starfish was absolutely horrible.
Well, I'm looking this up on the spot. I just want to see if the starfish is like some character, like or if he was just made up for the movie. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I have no idea.
Let's take a look. Starfish.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah, Suicide
But
Squad.
to me, between the starfish and the costumes, they were just going for some...
He's called Starro, apparently.
Oh.
Okay. The story behind Starro the Conqueror. I forgot they did call him the Conqueror, I think, at one point.
Oh,
He's a tentacled... Is he... I guess sure, tentacled. He has, arms. Let's see.
To be blunt,
okay. Starro is a gigantic psychotic starfish from space who can shoot lasers from his tentacles. Well, guess what? He never did that in the movie.
Oh, he was in Justice League. Justice
Okay.
League of America. He was in the comics.
So he is not somebody that they just created out of thin air.
All right. Well.
I mean, that's cool, I guess, but it's a starfish. I mean, look, there's a Justice League with the freaking the starfish slaves.
I probably just pissed off all your comic viewers for not knowing my facts.
I mean,
I'm coming into this just watching the movie.
But here's the
nothing
thing, though.
of the history.
You don't have to know the history. We're just talking about how you felt about the starfish.
I thought the starfish was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't like the starfish, it's okay not to like the starfish.
Maybe it works in the comics. Maybe if I had been a comic book reader, maybe I would have enjoyed it. But even then, I don't know if I would, because I didn't think it was well done.
Well, he doesn't. Well, no, I'm trying to think, because I was trying to think out loud if the villain talks to people. He talks through people.
He
remember,
talks through people.
Yeah, but he doesn't really do anything.
Right. And I don't remember him shooting lasers from his tentacles.
I mean, I watched the movie like 2 weeks ago. I don't think he does it.
So,
I
don't know. I guess if they would have taken the blood and guts and the hard R rating and put it into the original Suicide Squad with that kind of more dirty, gritty, underground sort of vibe, I thought if they would have combined the two in that way.
Well, let me ask you this, because just on the subject of giant monster villains, because I mean, if you're gonna compare it to something, I think at one point they actually joked, they're like, "We got a freaking kaiju, up in this shit," or whatever they say.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think like you're saying that like I don't like big monsters. I don't think I'm not getting that.
No.
But I do think that I think any movie that you have a giant monster that doesn't really have any motivation other than that it's just a creature that wants to kill stuff and it just wants to be free, you I think can run the risk of having, lack of a better word, a shallow villain. I mean, there's not much there. It's a big creature that just wants to destroy stuff.
Exactly.
And
how he destroys it is kind of
just stomps around.
I mean, really? That's how he destroys stuff?
I think if he was supposed to shoot lasers, he should have done it.
And
Maybe.
He didn't really he destroyed the city, but I don't... What, 80% of the movie, 90% of the movie, he was locked up in the...
yeah, it's only until like the very end that he comes out.
And even then, it's like, okay, these are his big superpowers. He's literally just walking around like a dumb...
Yeah.
Big, dumb starfish.
Yeah.
So... I don't know.
I actually wonder, and granted, I think the thing's like an extraterrestrial. He came from space. I think the big brain guy, Peter Capaldi, the thinker. I think that's who they call him.
Mm-hmm.
He has all the crap on his head.
Yeah.
He came from space, but like I kind of wondered with like the big starfish, or sorry, Starro the Conqueror. I don't want to upset people. Starro the Conqueror, and even King Shark. I'm like, do they need water to like move around? I guess they don't. Because they're sea creatures, but they can just walk around without water.
I mean, that's another point that I'm sure people were kind of getting
I think it actually would have been really funny, and this is purely me just talking about like if I had made the movie, what I would have done. With King Shark, I think it would have been like a really funny element if they're like he has to like be in water sometimes because he's a shark. He's walking around.
He's
so,
walking around the city fighting and be like, guys,
yeah,
I gotta go jump in the water. I'll be right back.
Yeah, or like the Suicide Squad would have to have like a hose ready, just like spray him every once in a while, like stuff like that. I mean, that's just purely me talking. It would have been funny, but I mean, who cares? I mean, it's
I mean, if they were going for that off the wall comedy horror, kind of like. God, what's the other franchise? What is it? Wayne Brothers. They did the
Scary Movie.
The Scary Movie. Just those kind of. It was supposed to be more comedy than horror and action, I guess.
Sure.
That's where it kind of felt to me as they were going for that route instead of a superhero movie. I thought they were going for more of the over the top comedy and just ridiculousness, but yet it had over the top blood.
Yes.
I don't know. Not a whole lot of it worked for me.
I can say, like, just as a movie, you know, I watched it one time. It was fine.
Would you ever watch it again?
I feel like I would maybe like watch it like once again.
Really?
Like,
just
but
to see if you missed anything?
Yeah, just purely out of like, will I react differently from the second viewing? But I don't see it as a movie that I would revisit a lot, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Would you revisit the first one? Or have you watched the first one more than once?
I've seen the first one, I think, 3 times. Because I saw it twice in theaters. And I saw it once then outside of it. So I've seen it 3 times.
Okay.
And...
Well, did you ever answer? Which one did you like better? The 2016 or 2021?
Ooh. Honestly, I think the 2021 one.
Really? All right.
King Shark, I'm a loser. Like, I like a big dumb shark that eats people.
I'm not criticizing anybody that liked the first one or the second one. It's your opinion. I mean, that's the glory of movies.
That's true.
You can like what you like and don't have to like what you don't.
I always tell people that with movies, too, because I always find it, like, it's always fascinating to me when you get, like, in a conversation with, like, a movie buff, like, you know, someone like myself or other people, but, like, some people do have very strong opinions about movies, and if you don't agree with them, you know, they lose their marbles. Exactly. And I really can say I'm proud. I don't think I've ever been the type that's like, if you say that you don't like a movie I like, I don't go insane. It's so subjective.
It's extremely subjective. And Suicide Squad is a category of movie that, for me, I want to shut my brain off and just enjoy the eye candy. Kind of like the Transformers franchise. I love Transformers because the story sucked, but the eye candy was great.
And there's a reason they hired Michael Bay for that.
Exactly.
The guy's a master of eye candy.
So the story, to me, isn't as big as it is to you. I know you're a big story guy. For that genre of movie, to me, it's not. But the costumes and the way it's filmed and the length and I don't like fluff time. I don't like dead air.
It depends. I totally hear what you're saying about like the story thing. Everybody has, whether you want to admit it or not, like everybody has like their biases to things they like. Even myself. Oh, yeah. You know, I have things I gravitate more probably towards than other people do. But like I'd say like a good example where I can like shut my brain off is like a movie like The Raid. Because I can watch like that and just see a bunch of dudes doing insane martial arts and just kicking the shit out of each other. But the story's not really going to matter all that much to me, but it's fine for that context. And I would say mostly for superhero movies, it's kind of hit and miss. I've seen ones that I've liked, I think, before that have, you know, like really compelling stories. But then I've also seen ones that, like... story's crap, but it's cool to look at. Mm-hmm. I mean, it happens. I don't think it's necessarily right or wrong the other way. It's just really if it serves
the purpose.
The purpose. Like, if it serves the purpose that the filmmaker's setting out to do, and there's an audience for it, then sure, go ahead, do it.
And everybody is going into the movie with different objectives. They want to get different things out of it. Yep. Me, I wanted to watch the Suicide Squad and be entertained.
Were you entertained?
No. I wasn't.
Damn Peacemaker.
Damn. The same thing. It just threw me out. I mean, just as soon as I saw his helmet, I'm like, that looks like a giant
penis head. A penis head?
Or a toilet bowl head. It just looked out of place. It just, all right, I was pretty much done after that. It just ruined the whole movie. And then
I hear you.
Starfish, whatever his name was.
Starro the Conqueror, apparently.
Once they announced the main villain is a frickin' starfish, it's like, oh my god. But then again, it had really good action. It had really cool blood. I enjoyed that aspect of it. It was just too long and too...
It's all good.
Too whatever.
So let me ask, outside of Suicide Squad, because this is an ensemble movie, this is a movie that's got a very large cast. There's a lot of players. There's not really a main character, except you could maybe argue Bloodsport is. Just what are some ensemble movies you like the ones that you enjoyed growing up?
Growing up?
Sure.
Outsiders.
That's the Matt Dillon movie, right?
Patrick Swayze.
Francis Ford Coppola, Tom Cruise, Rob Lowe, Patrick Swayze.
Yep.
I know that. Yep, that's a good movie.
That was a phenomenal movie. Red Dawn. I mean, if you're talking growing up, so I'm going back in the 80s and 90s. Red Dawn was another one. And
the remake for that was pretty bad.
Yeah, the remake was okay. It wasn't even remotely.
I mean, it's got. I mean, how do you beat Charlie Sheen and Patrick Swayze in a movie together?
Exactly.
No.
Breakfast Club, to an extent, I guess you.
Yeah, it's an ensemble.
That
yeah.
Ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go newer? I mean, obviously the Avengers.
That's as ensemble as it gets.
I mean, how could you get any more than that? I haven't really been as big a fan as the Expendables. A lot of people are. I just
watched Expendables 2 yesterday.
I heard they just announced 4?
Yeah.
Or 5?
50 Cent.
Is he in it?
And Megan Fox.
Megan Fox. Okay, that's one of the cool ones.
And Tony Jaa. Actually, though, Tony Jaa, I will say, perfectly fitting choice for that. Tony Jaa is a freaking badass. If you have never seen the Protector or any of the sequels, do yourself a favor and watch that. It's going to blow your brain. It's amazing. Sorry. Quick Tony Jaa plug because the guy is underrated as hell.
He's in this one?
He is, yes.
I totally missed that.
Yeah, he is, he's on a Donnie Yen level. He is freaking great. He totally makes sense to be in that movie. But Megan Fox, I don't know about that.
Did you see some pictures of her recently?
No, I have not. I know she's dating Machine Gun Kelly.
Is she really?
The rapper, yeah. I mean, I don't really follow a lot of the gossip, but I've seen it because I follow entertainment industry and whatnot, and yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, all right. I don't really want to get into her topic because
she's just
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, well, look.
It looked like she's how do I say this? She has visited a few doctors.
Yeah.
For a few procedures. And it looks very poorly done.
That's too bad.
And so it kind of takes it away from her whatever. I mean, she was never a very good actress, so I don't even
think she would admit that.
No.
I have heard though, I'll be honest, I'm not some Megan Fox fan. I mean, I got no issue. I'll be clear about that. But I have heard that since the Transformers and Jennifer's Body and stuff like that, I've heard she's gotten better, but she still has made a lot of really questionable kind of B movies lately.
But I thought she went on this big rant after Transformers and Jennifer's Body.
Yeah, she hates Michael Bay. I know she said that she compared him to Hitler.
That she wanted to be taken more seriously as an actress, and that looked at as just eye candy.
Yeah, I remember that.
If you look at the picture that they just released for Expendables, I mean, it's
an eye candy picture.
But it's okay, you're clearly have had work done. Mm-hmm. I mean, your lips are...
You're doing something.
So how can we take you seriously as an actress when you're clearly trying to...
Mixed message a little bit.
But...
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll say, I didn't mean to get into the Expendables too much, but as far as ensembles go, Expendables is definitely one of the more recent notable ones that people,
Fast and Furious is a franchise.
Fast and Furious, man.
The...
I have not said explicitly, but I can promise the listening audience on this, Fast and Furious is most definitely going to be making an appearance on this podcast, probably more than once. So you've been warned. I think it's going to be entertaining. But yeah, I have some people that they're going to come on here and talk about it with me on, and yeah, I'm very excited for that. So stay tuned. Ensembles. I want to say a few that I know off the top. You mentioned a couple good ones. The Outsiders, by the way, good call on that, because even for, I mean, I'm 30. It's definitely a lot of people would be like, oh, it's an older movie, and it's Francis Ford Coppola, and I doubt a lot of younger people probably even care for that. I mean, real, but it's good. It's a good movie.
How do you not like Ponyboy? Ponyboy Curtis.
Does he say like what's the quote with Ponyboy? Like a stay golden Ponyboy.
Stay golden pony.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal.
I read the book in high school too.
Yeah, a great movie.
No, I when I think of ensembles, there's a few that come to mind. I mean, James said a lot of the ones that I know of as well. I would say classic and remake, Magnificent Seven. That was. I actually like the remake for that, but even the original with Steve McQueen, that's classic. I would also say, also just thinking of Steve McQueen, The Great Escape in a way is kind of an ensemble movie because it's just a big prison break movie. It's an older one, but it's also good. I don't know why I'm thinking this because it definitely doesn't have the prestige of the other ones, but I always think of The Replacements with Keanu Reeves and Gene Hackman.
The football one?
The football one, man. I mean,
who else was in that?
Orlando Jones is in it. Then Rhys Ifans, he's in it, okay. And Jon Favreau's in it too. Who also he's pretty big deal now.
He's turned into an amazing director.
He is, and there's like there's a lot of personalities in it because there's the big sumo guy. There's just a lot of good characters.
I guess when I think of ensembles, I'm thinking of
Lord of the Rings. Oof. Sorry, I got to throw it in. That's a big ensemble movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like creme de la creme. It's like The Prestige. Actually, The Prestige is a good movie.
If you want to throw that in there, what about Pirates of the Caribbean?
It's an ensemble.
I mean,
it's true. I will say real quick on touching on that. I like the first Pirates. Second one, it's passable. Third one, it's nonsense. And after that, they're just like, let's just focus on Johnny Depp and being cuckoo and. Those movies really kind of derailed for me. Like they just really lost sight of what made the movie good.
I thoroughly enjoyed the first one, and
I do too.
I don't know when I stopped watching. I don't think I've seen the last one. Actually, I know I have not seen the last one, and I don't know if I've seen because there's 5, right?
God, yeah.
Let
me try to ramble off what I know. So there's Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, Pirates of the Caribbean, At World's End. That's 3, and then there's Stranger Tides, and then there's there's another one.
Didn't they? It wasn't the 5th one. The last one they made like years after.
I think so. Yeah.
Just to try to rekindle the magic, and it didn't do anything.
So. I do remember I saw it in theaters and. I think they might as well have performed a total recall on me or something because I completely
don't remember it.
I just know that I went to the theater and I saw it, and then like a mind wipe happened because it was so forgettable.
Right.
And I was just like, I saw that, but whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, I got the same feeling as you. First one was amazing.
Well, Fast and Furious, we talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about Fast and Furious.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Let me ask, just on the subject of ensembles. I mean, I think there's a lot of things, obviously, that you could say, like, make it work or don't work, but the ones that you do like and go back to, what about them works for you?
The stories. I mean, if you're going to have that many A-list celebrities or B-list or whatever you want to call, depending on what movie it is, if you're going to have that many people in the movie, it's got to be written extremely well. To where you're not leaving somebody out and everybody's getting their proper story time and character development. And so for big ensembles like that, it just has to be written. Story is probably most important for me personally.
Well, and like you said, like how they're written, because I think the challenge you find with any movie that has multiple characters is giving everybody a fair shot at like the spotlight, so to speak. I think you always run into that challenge where like there's other characters that are in the background where you're like, like they should have been in there more, but they only focus on like the big 3. It's always a challenge, but to the Suicide Squad, I would say they did a good job.
Okay, well here's a good point then. That's why you can credit Marvel for doing such a good job, is because all their characters had the individual movies to develop the character development, and then when they did Endgame, Avengers, you didn't care how much screen time everybody had because their stories have already been developed. Whereas DC, Here's Suicides. Okay, well, why don't we do a Bloodsport movie first? Why don't we do a Harley Quinn movie first to develop those characters? And they didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, I can say Marvel, 2008, Iron Man, first one, game changer. I mean, it set the groundwork for what was to come for superhero movies, not just for Marvel, but just, like, I mean, it got into, like, what is it, like, the zeitgeist, like the whole pop culture, like, it infected everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, but you can clearly see Marvel has done a 1,000 times better job
absolutely.
than DC.
DC still struggles.
DC is still struggling. Because me personally, I think a lot of their costumes are shit. I mean,
right.
They're just shit. And they're trying to do the ensemble movie first. Because didn't Justice League kind of kicked off?
Well, it bombed.
And it bombs.
Yeah.
Even though we know the backstories of Superman and Bat, but
yeah.
I think they should have done the individual movies to set up the universe.
Well, I think here's what I would say my thoughts are on that is like Marvel, Iron Man kicks off, you get Incredible Hulk, Thor, there's all these movies, Captain America, it eventually becomes the team movies with the Avengers and the universe, the MCU is born, right? That's a concept in and of itself that did not exist really prior, having a multi-film universe where everything's connected and blah, blah, blah. Marvel, I will give them credit where credit's due. I mean, like, they set the pace and they set the example. And I think DC, while, Dark Knight trilogy been effective, there's been other DC, like, solo movies and whatnot that have been good. But I think anybody with a brain cell would be like, okay, Marvel continues to crush. They're making, like, piles and piles of money. Obviously, they have a formula. They have worked out a formula that works. We should try to do that. But the problem with DC is I think, just from my outsider's perspective, they got so in the mindset of trying to compete with Marvel. They're like, well, we gotta do something like them. Like, I think they were in the headspace when, like, Justice League came out and stuff. Like, they rushed those things into the production. They tried to compete with Marvel doing what they were doing because even when, like, that came out, it was 2017, they were arguably at, like, the height of, like, Marvel's power, if you want to call it that. I mean, Endgame and Infinity War hadn't come out yet, but it was close. And I guess what I'm saying is that DC, I think they struggled for a while to figure out what they wanted and what they wanted to do.
For a while?
For still.
So, okay, I was going to say.
Well, so hang on. So my full thought on that is that they still struggle to an extent, but I think where they're at now is that I think they understand that they can lean into, like, doing more, like, solo projects than expanded universe stuff, even though I guess they have it with, like, Aquaman and Wonder Woman, but it's, like, barely intact if you're looking at, Marvel stuff. But I feel like if DC, I hope this has made sense, by the way, if DC, I think where they can do it right is that DC ultimately has better villains than Marvel. They do. I think you could look at a lot of them. There's some really good source material there for villains, and I think where DC can be different from Marvel is that they could focus on just doing. Hang on, Jane.
I hope you're going where I want you to go with this. I'm praying to God.
I need you to say, you just do it. Fill in the gap. What do you think I'm going?
You're talking dark, dirt, gritty.
Yes.
You're talking oh man, I would absolutely go bonkers over that.
I mean, literally the example for it is Joker. I mean, shit, the thing was up for Best Picture. Joaquin Phoenix won an Oscar for it. It was up for, like, I think 8 Academy Awards. And that was a super dark and completely separate. It wasn't trying to be part of a universe.
Right.
DC should just do that. At least until they could figure out if they want to try to do an expanded universe. I think they can, but I think, unfortunately, between, like, BVS and, like, some of the other ones they tried to do, it never really quite hit like Marvel did, but yet they have that great source material for dark, messed up stuff, and there is an audience for that.
Yes, there is.
So that's what I would say.
I mean, do the exact opposite of what Marvel's doing. Marvel's concentrating on their superheroes and being that. You do have a great source material for your villains. Go the dark, dirty, underground, just go that route.
Yeah.
It'd be so done, so well done.
Well, I think there's other ones coming, right? Is there other dark, messed up stuff coming from DC? I don't really know. I haven't
really followed it, to be totally honest with you. I mean, DC's kind of lost it for me. I wish they would do a Swamp Thing. I think that would be a really cool.
Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he would be a very cool anti-villain, anti-hero, whatever you want to call him. What's another one? Poison Ivy.
I just think of Uma Thurman.
Yeah,
from Batman and Robin.
She could have a really good.
I mean, she really probably could. Yeah.
So
even Joel Schumacher's over the top stuff in that movie, I'm like, yeah, there's a cool character there.
Yeah, it's
be
a
cool.
Character.
So let me ask. I'm gonna segue into another subject. Dark humor. Because you touched on like Deadpool and Suicide Squad's got some messed up blood.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you like dark humor, James.
I love dark humor.
Yes, you do.
I do.
Yeah. Well, I think that's actually one of the things. Like early on, I was like, this guy understands twisted humor a little bit.
I do like twisted humor.
What do you think is the appeal with dark humor?
It's not going with the grain. It's not. I think a lot of it is just because of all the PG-13 dumbed down movies to get made to bring in the kids and the teenagers. That Deadpool was the first one to kind of go for the adult, kind of say, you know what, we're going for that demographic. Yeah. And there's a lot of us that grew up that are my age that just kind of find that funny. I mean,
yeah. I think so. To Suicide, let's talk about Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. Did you like some of the dark humor elements in it?
I did.
Yeah,
they had some good moments. Had some that fell flat, but
sure.
For the most part, I would say 75% of them hit for me.
Yeah, I think I don't know when I think about dark humor, like you, I like it. And I think kind of for similar reasons, it's like, it goes against the grain. It's not really like PC. It feels more free. There's less rules and restrictions on it. It can also sometimes be like one of those sad because it's true things. Because sometimes I think dark humor, the reason it works is because you're like, oh man, like that's kind of relatable. You know, I could probably give some examples if I had some off the top, but I don't right now. But yeah, I can say, I don't know, there's always been a part of myself that I've watched certain movies, and when they make kind of a messed up joke, I'm like, like that's pretty funny on some level. I like it.
But you come across to me as more of the guy that likes it in smaller sample sizes and doesn't want to see an entire movie.
It really depends, but I would say sure. Okay. I'm not gonna like say no. I like it when it makes sense. Mm-hmm. I can say like a Deadpool movie, because I'm just going back to that because it's just a very obvious example of a lot of dark humor. That movie, more to me, is just it's like, do I love or not really enjoy Ryan Reynolds? Because Ryan Reynolds gets paid to play himself in several movies, and some people, obviously a lot of people, are totally good with that because the guy's got wit, charm, personality, etc. But he's the same to me, and so his the dark humor stuff, I think in Deadpool's fine, but Ryan Reynolds to me kind of detracts from the, like, I'm more focused on like just Ryan Reynolds is being him.
Okay, well, give me another. Do you have another example?
Like for dark humor? Yeah, I think probably the one that comes to mind is American Psycho. Oh. Now, some people may not interpret it as that, but I think American Psycho is hilarious. Like there is some weird. There's some like. I mean, the scene I always...
You're talking the Christian Bale.
Christian Bale one.
Okay.
Well, because I think of the scene, because I think sometimes it's intentional. At least I think it is a little bit, because like I laugh my butt off when they get to the scene in the boardroom where like they're comparing the business cards, and Christian Bale almost has a nervous breakdown looking at the beautiful one. He's like, oh my God, it even has a watermark. Like, I'm like, it's so ridiculous and freaking creepy and weird, but I laugh at it. So I don't know, there's dark humor in that I like.
Okay,
I'll think of another example, but what's another one you like?
I have not seen that movie in so long.
It's an older one.
No, I know.
Pre-Batman.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and check that, because I don't remember that having humor. I mean,
in my twisted brain,
I remember it being dark. I remember it being good, but I don't.
What's other dark humor movies? I'm thinking off the top. Okay, this is not, I would not say it's central on it, but like even like Lethal Weapon, Riggs, the character of Riggs, Mel Gibson, he's kind of cynical and messed up. Like he laughs at stuff that's probably not really that funny.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's like dark humor. I'm just trying to think of like dark things
I don't
in
know.
movies.
Would you consider like Ash versus Evil Dead? I mean, that's got some
yeah.
twisted humor in it.
Army of Darkness. By
Army
the
of
way.
Darkness.
I'm if I'm talking about Evil Dead in that universe, Army of Darkness, it's a favorite.
Yeah.
I watched that thing so many times growing up.
And then you got Dale and Tucker versus Evil.
That's such a good movie.
That's a phenomenal movie.
Hilarious. That's actually a very good example of dark humor like done correctly.
Oh, that was so
and it
well
makes
done.
fun of all this the tropes of like
Yes.
dumb teenagers in the woods getting
Yes.
killed. It's a phenomenal movie.
It was great. It's so sad that it didn't get the recognition. I mean, it has.
Hey,
a cult,
we're talking about it on here.
It
Now people will look into it and be like, "What is this movie?"
It has a very strong cult following, and everybody that's watched it has just fell in love with it. If you like that genre of movies,
Well, if they made a sequel to it, would you see it?
hell, in a second.
Yeah.
In a second.
Alan Tudyk, which is the ginger-haired fellow in that,
Yep.
massively underappreciated as an
Oh.
actor.
Yes.
Incredible. And then the other guy, I'm sorry, dude, I guess I'm dropping your name. I don't know your name, but I've seen him in other movies, and I like him,
Yeah.
and also think he should be appreciated. So, heavier set guy in the movie.
Totally drawn a blank on his name too. I shouldn't.
If you're listening to this, we appreciate you. Okay. So, I'm trying to think. Gosh, we've been talking for a decent amount. I want to do one more thing, and then I think we're going to start to wind this down. So, this could turn into a long conversation if we're not careful. But if we're looking at big budget movies like Suicide Squad, comic book movies, etc. I know before we hit record on this, you were talking about HBO Max and releasing a big movie like Suicide Squad, and you talk about like the Black Widow situation with the lawsuit and all that stuff. I'm just curious when it comes to big movies like a Suicide Squad. I don't know what how are you seeing the future of releases for movies? I mean, do you think these big tentpole movies can work doing this like streaming and theatrical window at the same time?
Well, if you look at it from a financial standpoint, it's better for Disney to release everything on Disney Plus. Because you know how much movie theaters get of the cut? They take like 40-50%.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at Black Widow, what was the numbers? Black Widow did 80 million theatrical and 60-something million Disney Plus?
So they say.
So they say, right.
Yeah.
That's what they're reporting.
The streaming thing's weird because like I always have doubt over what they report. Because I don't know what they're basing the metrics off of.
Well,
Box office is simple. It's ticket sales.
Right, but I mean,
Yeah.
the streaming, it's $30 a household.
Yeah, is that what they're doing now?
Yes.
I wasn't sure if that was a Disney Plus thing.
No, it's a Disney Plus
HBO,
premiere.
Okay.
HBO is free.
Yes.
HBO, if you have the...
If you pay for the subscription,
right.
you just get it.
Disney
Yeah.
Plus, they're doing for, like, Cruella, Black Widow. There's been, like, 4 or 5, the Mulan movie.
There was a Pixar movie that won Luca.
Yeah.
The one that's like in Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You pay the $30, you own it. Or
Right.
you wait the 90 days and it comes out for free.
Well, let me ask for the Suicide Squad. Did you watch it on HBO or did you go to the theater?
No, I watched it on HBO. So, actually, the only reason I got HBO is because of once they announced all these movies coming out,
Mm-hmm.
that sold it for me. Dune, Suicide
I wanna
Squad,
see Dune
Wonder
really
Woman.
badly.
What was the one at the beginning of the year? In like April or May.
April, May.
There was a big one. Before Suicide Squad. I just watched the Reminiscence, the Hugh Jackman movie.
I heard that was bad.
I actually liked it.
I haven't seen it.
I actually thought it wasn't bad. I watched the Angelina Jolie movie a couple months ago on HBO, where she was a fire ranger.
Yeah, those who wish me dead.
Those Who Wish Me Dead was actually pretty good. And then what was the big one in like April? Oh my god!
The superhero movie, or I'm trying to think. I don't
Yeah,
know why.
It was like the second movie after Wonder Woman. The second big would have been blockbuster in the theater, but I'm drawing a total blank.
I don't know.
Anyways, that's the reason why I got HBO. The only reason I got HBO is because of the movie releases.
Do you still go to the movie theater?
No. Why?
Well,
I know you go for the experience.
yeah.
Me-
I mean, it's a combination of things. Yeah.
Okay, but you're single for now. Engaged but single.
I am. Yeah, I live alone with a cat.
I'm married with 3 kids.
It's true.
Now, if I want to go see Luca, or no, it wasn't Luca. Luca was free. It was Raya and the Last Dragon.
Okay, yeah.
So we bought that.
I heard that was good.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah, my brother Jared liked that. Yeah.
So we go to the movie theater with the 3 kids and the wife. We're paying, what, $45, $50 for the tickets?
Yep.
And then we're paying how much for popcorn and pop? So, I mean, let's just be whatever and say $75 to take the whole family.
Well, not to mention you also have the ordeal. Maybe that's a heavy word, but you have to cart them around.
Exactly.
You have to drive there and get there.
Get them loaded in the vehicle,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Get there, blah, blah, blah. Get them seated. Make sure that they're being quiet and respectful to everybody else.
What do you do if your kids aren't doing that?
I backhand them. No, I'm totally joking.
Backhand the hell out of them.
I
man.
just
hit them.
just sit there and whisper and shut up, shut up.
First off, because in this day and age, anything can be misinterpreted. I do not condone hitting children.
Neither do
at
I.
all.
I do not hit any of my children. I never have laid a hand on any of my children. I've never spanked them. I've never done anything. That was just trying to be funny.
Well, I want to go back to what you were saying, but I will say, thankfully, my mother always was very good about being like, basically, if you can't behave in the movie theater, you don't get to go.
Okay.
I know the very first movie theater experience I can actually remember, though I wasn't like, told to like be quiet or anything like that. I saw The Lion King, and I just remember I like got sick or something, and I puked in a popcorn bag, and then I left. But anyways, let's go back to what you were talking about.
But yeah, you figure a family of 5 on average,
Yeah.
$75. Probably too high, but whatever, maybe too low.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could sit at the comforts of your house, rent it for $30.
I get the argument. I mean,
And
I totally get the justification for that.
And how many movies have you gone to see? Like, didn't me and you go see the Star Wars? And there was the guy in front of us that was laughing at everything. Absolutely everything.
Was it The Force Awakens, probably, right? I
Yeah,
don't think
it
we
was-
saw The Last Jedi together.
No,
I saw The Last Jedi with another buddy of mine.
Okay, no, I think it was The Force Awakens. Because we went to see Star Wars together.
It was The Force Awakens. I'm
And
thinking
there was
about it
that
now.
guy in front of us to the corner that just was laughing at everything. Regardless if it was meant to be funny or
The
not.
overreactor.
Yes, and it's
Yeah.
like every time I go to a movie, I have one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Or I take my oldest daughter to a movie. Like we went to see The Addams Family a couple years ago when that came out.
Uh-huh.
And you got the kids that won't behave and just ruining the experience. So to me, I don't know. I would much rather sit in my house, not have to worry about it, and rent it.
I will say, because this is beyond Suicide Squad, we're just kind of talking about the theatrical experience, if you will,
Or the
kinda
industry in a whole.
The industry as a whole, where it's evolving. I'll say for myself, I mean, I am an absolute, if I could go as far as saying a devout person for the movie theater experience. I still very much cherish the movie theater. Like I love when I go and the lights go down and I got a big bowl of overpriced popcorn and all that. There is a lot that I can say that still works for it, and I think still continuously will work, especially if you're, I don't know, just very adamant or supportive of a movie. It is fun to be in a theater when you have kind of almost like a sporting event. I'm not saying it's the same, but it's like you're around people that have a similar strong passion, likely, if it's a big movie, to go see something. So you're all going to share the experience together, and you're also not distracted by phones and bull crap and people like that. But I will say, the family argument, it definitely makes sense. And I also think that we're in the day and age now with so many streaming services, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, HBO, Disney Plus.
Peacock.
And so many of these places are making their own original content. And now we are so oversaturated with like just content galore. I mean, there's so much great stuff that's being churned out now. And I think that if you're talking about like your wallet, like just your money, yeah, I mean, it's incredibly expensive to go to the movie a lot unless you go on like $5 Tuesday or something.
Yeah, and with COVID and everything being pushed back, there's going to be, once the flood walls come down, there's going to be a flood of new content coming. Because everything
it's like if you think it's bad now, like, just wait.
Oh, man. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. There's a certain type of movie that I would go see by myself or with a buddy like you or somebody.
Sure.
As far as family movies, no, I will totally take the Disney Plus route every day of the week and twice on Sunday. But I do agree that there is nothing like the lights going down, the screen going black, going to light. I mean, and the surround sound and all that. That's you can't beat.
Because I think one of my biggest hangups with like watching any movie, honestly, at home is I admit I can be probably like a theater Nazi or something like this. I cannot stand when I'm at home and I'm watching a movie with a group of people and they insist on pausing it all the time.
Yeah, I hate that.
It totally breaks the pace of the movie.
Yes.
Or my personal favorite gripe is the ones where it's like, oh, like you have like 7 buddies watching a movie and they're like, can you just put the subtitles on? I'm like, why? Well, like that way we can like talk and like just kind of do whatever. I can just read it. Bullshit. We're not doing that.
Sit down, shut up, and enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
So I would just say like kind of to wrap it up for this, like I think COVID certainly escalated the situation that theaters and exhibitionists as an industry, the entertainment industry is in right now with streaming and the theatrical experience. Like it was already coming. Like pre-pandemic, like streaming was, Netflix was existing before. Pandemic escalated it for sure because even I admit for myself, I was not comfortable going to the movie theater for a while. I'm fine now. I go to the movies still now. But I don't know. I think it's hard to say where the future of it's going. I would still like for like a movie like Suicide Squad or any of these big movies, I'd like them to be seen on the big screen if they can be. I just think the streaming services and the theatrical terms maybe just need to be worked out a bit differently because right now it's unbalanced, I think, in how the profits generated for the movie, and then I don't know, there is an imbalance, I think, to the situation.
There is. Do you think movie theaters are going to be around in 5 years? Because it seems like they're all claiming financial hardship. I mean,
Cinemark
AMC,
almost like did like
bankruptcy. Was it Cinemark?
I think it was Cinemark.
And then like Disney Plus is reaping the rewards from putting them on their service because they get more of the profits.
I don't like
they get a bigger chunk. I think they get all the pie.
Look, not to sound like I'm anti-establishment, James, but the mouse owns a lot. Do I want to support the mouse? Not really always. I kind of think they're like, I'm not saying they're a big evil corporation. I'm sure that there's some probably very decent, talented people that work at Disney.
Yeah.
But it's the mouse. They own a lot.
You don't think, is it Warner Brothers that did the HBO Max?
Well, they were one of the first studios. I mean, I don't know if other studios have followed, but they were definitely the first that did the exclusive HBO streaming window for a year. So it's supposed to end this year, but right. I mean, who?
Well, a couple of the movies are now getting theatrical and HBO Max same day, where it was Dune is.
Yeah, I want to see Dune.
So do I.
Yeah.
But you don't think some of these companies are going to be like, we'll just release it on HBO Max for an additional $20?
They could.
And just completely cut out the movie theaters entirely?
I really hope. I hope not. Like I don't. If I could like put a metaphor to anything like this, I don't want movie theaters to become like a CD or DVD where it's like considered obsolete technology. But at the same time, I mean, like I don't know where the future's heading for. I think, okay, this is the last thing I'll say on this. I do think that film has such rich history and there are people that are devout into the theater experience. Now, granted, I think that number is going to probably shrink over time, especially as technology develops and, whatnot. But I do think that theaters will survive. Do I think they're ever going to be the same as they were pre-pandemic? No. I don't think so. I think the business model has to change. I think, likely speaking, theaters will stay open only to really support big movies. I think any other movie that basically has a budget of like, I don't know, like 80 million or less, I'm just throwing out numbers, they likely won't probably get played at the theater because it costs more money to put them out there than to just put them on a streaming service. So, I don't know. I think there's enough people out there that are avid theater supporters that will do their best to keep it alive, but will it ever have the strong audiences that it did before? I don't think so. I mean, and that does make me sad on a personal level, but at the same time, I mean, life changes. I don't know.
Yeah, COVID has definitely altered the landscape, and I'm still a old school When I go out and buy music, I still buy the CDs, which are virtually impossible to find now. I mean, Best Buy doesn't even carry CDs
Half
anymore.
Price Books is good.
Are they?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not impossible. You can still find them, but you have to look harder than you did before. When I go a movie route, I still buy movies. I don't do digital anymore. I don't do digital, period. I still buy the hard copy.
Yeah.
Video games, I'm still buying the hard copy instead of the digital, if at all possible.
Well, the video game thing's interesting because, like, I'm trying to think, how do I say this? Now, movies, if I go to resell a movie, now, granted, if it's like a really nice 4K or collector's edition, I might get okay money.
Mhm.
I'll just say okay. It's not even going
Right.
to be good, but it's okay.
Right.
Video games, on the other hand, though, it's really strange to me because you could just get them all digitally, and it's easy to get like a big terabyte hard drive or something like that. But I don't know. If I like, the thing is, if I spend $60 on a game, and I don't know, it ends up like I end up hating it after like 3 days. If I have a digital copy, I guess I'm screwed. I'm
Right.
hosed. I can't do anything with it. At least with the physical, I have some hope of trying to recoup my loss a little bit.
Some of it. And when you beat the game,
Yeah.
what are you doing with the digital? It's going to sit there and take up inventory space.
Exactly.
Whereas if you have a physical, I mean, granted, you're not going to get back what you paid. You're not going to get back half of what you paid, but getting back anything is better than nothing. So
Mm-hmm.
when I get a game, if it's available on disc, I will get the disc every time, so that way I can recoup some money when I'm done with it.
Now, let me ask.
Yes.
The Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Are you gonna buy the
No.
physical copy of it?
No.
It doesn't sound
No,
like
I'm a
it,
lot
yeah.
more. I'm a lot more selective because, like
Yeah.
you said earlier, with all these streaming services, with all this new
Mhm.
content, I don't have a lot of time
Yes.
between that and family and work and everything else to go back and watch movies a second or third time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Quiet Place 2, I bought on 4K just because that was coming out on Paramount only streaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want another streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm going to buy that because I really want to watch it. And that's the only, I think that's the only movie I've bought in this year.
I've well, I'm trying to think. How many movies do I admit to buying? Isola would probably not be pleased if I told her. I'm just kidding. Isola, I don't overspend on movies. I know you listen to this.
He's lying. I hope you realize that.
Yeah. Credit cards maxed out. There's so many movies.
I mean, I'm sitting in his little office, and there are boxes and boxes and boxes stacked on top of each other with so many movies that haven't even been opened up. They're still shrink wrapped.
See, here's the thing. When you are listening to a purely audio experience like this, there's nothing that validates the truth.
I am totally joking. Okay, go ahead with your story.
I'm trying to. I admit I got a bit sidetracked thinking about the
Your fiance.
No, not the fiance. I mean, like, she's great. I love her, but you got me excited thinking about all the movies I could own. I like thinking about the big stack of movies that I don't have. Let's get it. Let's get that happening. That'd be cool.
It's your money.
Yeah. I don't even know how much I spent. But no, I will say that this is the very, very last thing I promise is for, like, in regards to, like, physical media, for, like, the Suicide Squad, since I'm trying to, just tie it back to that, I'm probably not going to buy this movie. Like, I enjoyed it for a one-time watch. I would maybe revisit it if I was, like, with a bunch of friends and they're like, let's watch that. I'd be like, okay, sure. But I don't think it's one I really need to own. I told James before I hit record on this, I was showing him my collection and things like that. I have a lot of physical media, but I definitely, it's like I could have a lot more, but I don't want to necessarily have a lot more unless I really, have a good reason for wanting to go back and watch it. Suicide Squad, I just don't know. I don't think I'd go back and do it. It's not really screaming at me that I need to do that.
No, it's not one that I'd ever watch again.
I think that's all I have to say about the movie. You got anything else?
It sucked.
Well, okay.
Plain simple.
Just
No, I'm joking. It was okay. No, I got nothing else. It was
okay.
It was ho-hum. It was me. Whatever.
I think we had some good conversation out of this.
Yeah, maybe a little sidetracked from time to time, or every time.
I mean, isn't that what happens on these things? Sometimes, things go
Left and
different.
right and up and down and circle back around.
Still stays grounded on the movie,
Yeah, it does.
except when we got into the broad issue of theaters dying. but
I hope they don't, but
I don't want them
inevitably I think they're going to. I think everybody's kind of gone that streaming lazy route, and hey,
I don't
watch
like
everything from home.
Oh, that's the last thing I wanted to say. I've probably said this is the last thing I want to say like five
times ago.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
The very last thing I would say that actually it alarms me on the streaming situation now, and it was an issue before, but it's certainly more prevalent now, is illegal streaming and pirating. Because the problem I notice, and hear me out for a second, is that because of like these streaming services, I've noticed it's a lot easier for other sites to torrent and pirate them a lot more easily than trying to, take a camcorder into the theater and watch it that way. It's a lot easier to basically just get the streaming rip for the movie. And I am not going to act like I've never gone to a torrent site or a pirate site to watch a movie because I couldn't find it elsewhere. I have done it before, but I guess I'm just kind of wary long term about it because I know several people personally that I won't name that they got absolutely no problem going to one of these bootleg sites and just watching a movie, a brand new movie or something, and it's in perfect good quality, and they can just do that and they're happy with it. But what I don't like is that if you want good content to come, you got to pay. I mean, there's money that needs to be supported. I mean, these people have to make money to do it, and if there's enough people that get that lazy streaming mentality of just I don't even need to subscribe to Netflix, I can just find some bull crap online somewhere and pirate it, I do worry about that because it's going to ultimately hurt the quality of movies that are coming out in the long term. I don't know.
I mean, if you take away Netflix revenue, they're going to have to make cuts, and where are they going to make cuts? Their content. They're either going to dumb it down, cheapen it up, or they're going to produce less of it. So I can say I have never once pirated a movie, or I've never once gone to a site and done that.
You're a good person.
It's not that. It's just I firmly believe that if you're providing me with a source of entertainment, I'm going to pay for it. If it's bad entertainment, well, then I throw away my money. And if it's good entertainment, well, great. I was entertained. It did what it's supposed to. And not trying to change the subject, but we could shift this over to free-to-play games.
Yeah.
That rely on people buying their cosmetics and stuff like that. And there's nothing I hate more than the people that don't invest a dime into the game, but yet think that they can sit here and complain about it. It's like, you don't support it. Shut up. If you want them to make changes to the game or this or that, they got to have money to make changes.
Yeah. And that's, I think, a lot of people, they don't even realize that they're doing that, I guess. I mean, well, there are some that do. I mean, let's be real. There are some people that do, but I always go back to, in situations like this, that people are ridiculously busy in life, James. Like, they have so many things going on that I don't know. I'm not sure if this ties into like, the need to pay for your entertainment and stuff like that, but I don't know. There's a lot of content that's coming out in streaming. I'm a movie guy, and it's like, it is ridiculously hard for me to keep up with all of it.
Oh, it's impossible.
Insane.
Yeah, it's impossible.
So I know sometimes there are people that want to keep up with it, but just don't want to, waste $500 a month on paying for things the proper way and things like that. So, I mean, there's a lot of conversation to be had on that.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole another episode in its own.
Yeah. So, I'll just say, someone that is a financial wizard and can sort this out, do it, because I'm a guy that's doing a podcast in a room that can't do that. So, no thanks. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Screen Speak. So I do appreciate you guys for coming by, or women. What are you supposed to say on that? Just real quick, I'm asking you, because I always say, like, you guys. I feel like I say that a lot, but it's like, I don't want to exclude women.
No,
God,
no.
Like, what do I say, y'all?
I don't know what the politically correct term is.
I don't know.
And I don't want...
People? Just people?
Thank you for coming out. I don't think you even put
Thank you, people.
I just thank you for listening.
Just no people. Just...
I mean, that way you're not excluding anybody.
That's true. See, that's also the part of the podcast I enjoy. I talk this stuff out. I figure it out. So now, thanks, everybody.
There you go.
There we go.
That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. I offended nobody.
Exactly.
Okay. Thanks everybody for coming by, listening to the podcast. James, I don't think you have any social media or plugs that you'd like to do.
No, sir.
If you had your own thing, I'd be happy to have you give it a mention.
Nope, that's not me.
All right, well, I'll just say, finally, wrap this thing up. I'd be happy to have you back again, if you would like to.
I will have my agent be in touch with you.
Okay, your people will talk to my people.
Yes, and when can I expect the check to be deposited into my account?
Legally speaking, I'm not allowed to say a lot about that on the podcast.
Well, just get your wallet out and we'll just do cash.
What about Venmo? Do you have Venmo?
No, cash works.
Okay, well,
all right.
I don't know. Okay.
That's bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's stupid.
I'll pay you. You want money?
I got a shot.
That's
That's
true.
payment enough.
Yeah.
Your friendship is payment enough.
Friendship is good.
Friendship is good.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening, and just keep coming back for more. I appreciate all of it.